Witch Tales. Where did we leave off in the last episode? Well, let's find out. Minaki, Maya, it's good to write to you from somewhere safe for once. It feels like I've been writing to you from dangerous situations more often than I'd like. Well, you'll be pleased to hear that I made it out of the Death Plains, but let's not get ahead of myself. I was sent to Drenwheel to map the Drensal forest. They made use of my cartography skills. But when I got here, I realized that it's much more dangerous than one person can really be doing alone. The area of the forest is kind of swampy and very difficult to traverse without difficulties and dangers around every corner. After getting attacked by a bush and some gigantic mosquitoes and meeting with some of the locals, I learned that the life there is even more turbulent than usual since the local dragon called the Hunter went missing. It sort of disrupted the hierarchy of things. I returned to the guild to explain that to them, and I was told that any sighting or any news of anything to do with dragons had to be reported directly to the king. So off I went to Wendraven, the capital, to meet with the king. On the way, I had a little altercation with a hill giant, but I quickly realized that he was just as scared as I was and was, I think, just a young boy out to try and protect himself against the world. He was being chased by a mob for stealing their farmland animals, and thankfully I was able to persuade them that he would make a much better guard for them if they just fed him than trying to slaughter him. And so they took him on board. I hope that goes well for them. I arrived at the capital and spoke with the king, told him what I'd heard of the dragon, and he agreed that the job seemed like a much bigger task than they had originally anticipated. So while I decided what to do about that, he employed my services for something else and sent me up north. On the way to a city called Staanhon, he wanted a particular old merchant's path being mapped out, a path through the Death Plains, a very dangerous area that had influence from the Fire Plains. I made my way through, and it was difficult and arduous journey, but it was very rewarding by the end of it. I feel like I did a great job mapping it out, and I've really contributed to something, the knowledge of this area that people wouldn't have had without me. It feels good to have been a part of something like that. It wasn't maybe as bad as they say. It was very hot at times, and I did encounter a couple of potentially dangerous monsters, but thankfully I'm speedy enough to get away from any difficulties without too much issue. I was sure that there was some sort of pack of hounds of some sort that tried to attack in the night, but I growled loud enough to intimidate them away. And once I made it out of the Death Plains, I continued on to the city of Staanhon. And that's where I am now. I headed to the guild, the Cartografur's Guild, and I copied down all of my notes of everything that I'd mapped out and every note I'd taken about my journey through the Death Plains, and I made a report out of it for the king. I duplicated it just for safekeeping, and by this point I was absolutely exhausted, and so I found a place to stay, a lovely little tavern called the Welcome Inn, and that's where I am now. I'm writing you from my bedroom at the Welcome Inn. Today I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I've got a few different options. So wish me luck. I'll soon be heading north again to continue my cartography. I miss you guys. Noodle. And that is where we're picking up today. So, as you are starting off your day in Staanhon, in an actual bed for the first time in a little while, what do you want to do with your day? What's your plan? Do you have an appointment with the guild leader? Yes, you did have an appointment with the guild leader. if you want to go and if you want to do anything before you go to your appointment with the guild leader, that's for you to decide. You also have the remaining 30 gold pieces for the Death Plains job that you were told you could claim from the mayor of Staanhon. She would be able to. She's been informed of you coming through. The king has obviously sent missive before you arrived, probably with the sending spell or with a homing pigeon or something. They've gotten a message to the mayor to expect you, and she'll have the remainder of your pay for one of the 2 jobs that you were commissioned for. Isn't it 70? We got 30 already. Yes, so that you were commissioned for 2 different jobs. You've completed one of them, so you can get the remainder of the completed job, which is just 30 gold. You should get breakfast, have a bath, guild leader, mayor. You don't necessarily need a bath. You can if you want, but you have had a wash in the river on your way into Staanhon. Between leaving the Death Plains and arriving in town, you actually went to a river in the wild and had a little bathe. Which, given that you're part of your personality that you guys came up with when we were doing character creation for Noodle, was that you were rather frugal. You came from a street urchin kind of a background. You came from nothing essentially and had to value every penny. And so you are a rather frugal person, and so you decided to save some money and have a bathe in the river. So you're probably pretty good for that already, but you can definitely go get breakfast. It would probably be included in your room price for a simple porridge or something. And this bear eating porridge, if it's too hot, you can just go for a walk, come back and find that some blonde-haired bimbo's eating it from you. Chase her off from your house or eat her, depending on the ending of that particular story. Is there a university-like institution for checking on our rock samples? There is, yes. So in Staanhon, it's a mostly large dwarven city. In most of my cities in the world, there is a temple district of sorts, which is where you worship the various different gods, the pantheon of gods. There are a few different gods of knowledge, the knowledge domain. The god of language and learning, and the god of reading and writing. Those 2 gods are always interchanging themselves as to which one is actually more important in society or not. There's like a good-natured rivalry between those 2 gods, and both of them have university-like institutions as their temples. So there is the god of reading and writing has libraries as its place of worship, and the god of learning and teaching, it has universities and schools and things. So you could go to the temple district and find the temple to Fifke or Torigma and ask them questions about your rock samples if you wanted. Would our guild want the rocks? Not in our guild. Our guild is a guild of, it's called the Brush and Quill. It's a guild for limners, sign writers. It's a guild for scriveners, scribes, cartographers, people who work with brush and quill, and they would have no need for rock samples. You'd probably be best if you wanted them analysing for some reason, then you'd need them going to someone that would analyse that stuff. It depends what you're wanting out of these rocks as well, like why did we take rock samples in the first place, what did we want to learn from them. How much time do we have before our guild master meeting? It's, I think from memory you were told that it was going to be around noonish, so you got a couple hours. You want to analyse to see if you can find out if there's any minerals that can be mined there. I see. The rocks relate to how strong the rock will be for trundling carts and things over them. Gotcha. Or just identification, and then they can be rock garden. Alright, so you head downstairs to the inn's kitchen. You are presented with your morning breakfast. There's some porridge, and the kitchen, you're friendly enough that the kitchen staff have taken a liking to you, and they drop in a few berries for you as well, just to sweeten the deal, sweeten the breakfast for you. And after chucking down a bowl of porridge, you got a couple hours before you need to head to your guild for the meeting. So let's get that money, let's go shopping, let's go to the mayor, go to a jeweler to get a special right from the Death Plains selling point for them. That could be pretty cool. So get the rock samples identified as like, here's more information I picked up about the Death Plains. I did my job diligently, and then once the rocks are no longer needed, you can turn them into jewellery perhaps. Volcanic looks for quartz and gold and obsidian and etc, etc. I feel like my own lack of knowledge about volcanic geology is going to come in to bite me in the butt in a moment. Alright, so which to do first? There's a few people asking for a few different things. So you want to get the rocks identified by like an arcanist entente or like a university professor or something like that. You want to get your rocks identified, you want to go to the mayor to collect more money, you want to go shopping. You already have some money on you. How much money do you have? Let's look at your inventory. You still have 36 gold already on you, so you've got a decent chunk of money. If you wanted to grab that, grab your money first you can, but what are we doing first? What's important? Identify the rocks. Are we buying more heat resistant potions? You use the heat resistance potions to great effect, so maybe you want some more as well. Alright, I think most people are saying grab the rocks first. So you head to the centre of town, the centre of Staanhon, into Central District, which is much larger streets, much wider open areas, much more space between the different buildings, still all very much dwarven stonework. Very much the architecture of a city that has been under siege from marauding orcs for many years now, over and over again. And so there's nothing too tall, there's nothing made of wood that they can burn down. There's all very short, wide, sturdy buildings with lots of open space between them. And so you head to the centre of town, enjoying the architecture, noticing that there's quite a few people looking at you. You definitely stand out in a crowd, given that you are over 6 foot tall, and this is a mostly dwarven city. There's a lot of humans here, and a lot of other races too, a lot of other species, but it's about, I think in my notes I've got it at about 60% dwarf population, and so they're cresting like 4.5, maybe 5 feet tall, and you're easily head and shoulders above most other people. So from your height alone you stand out, and then couple that with the fact that you are essentially a bipedal bear. You certainly draw the eye. As you head towards the centre of town, you see that there's a large open plaza in a not exactly a perfect radial circular formation to the town, but there is a central town square, and then places of worship are built away from that, just in more of an odd irregular shaping because of the nature of the mountain that they're built on and the rivers that run through the city, so they kind of build where they have to build. But in the centre of the central square, you can see that there is a statue of four people. That seems like it's a statue of an adventuring party of sorts. Somewhat featureless to some of them, especially one of them at the back that's quite clearly hooded and is intended to be quite featureless. But there is you can make out that there's a human that's standing at the front, very bold and brass kind of attitude of like standing there like really chest puffed out, like muscles beyond belief, long flowing hair back in a high ponytail, and a very, very large sword, like a sword that's way too large for its for his capacity, but maybe it's been extrapolated and expanded on for the sake of the statue. To one side, I think with arms folded, a half-orc woman, rather a compensation sword perhaps, yes. A rather stocky woman with a little bit of a jutting jaw and prominent tusks demonstrate that she's clearly an Uruk, or a half-orc, half-human. And off to another side, you see a tiefling man in full plate armor, standing quite proud with his horns prominent and back over the top of his head, a large shield, and on the shield you can see a symbol to one of the gods. It's one of the actually it's not one of the greater gods. I'm gonna get you to make a religion check because it's one of the old gods you might not recognise. That is an 11. Plus your religion modifier, you are not proficient in religion, so it's just a straight intelligence. That is a 12. With a 12, it's actually not enough to recognise it. You don't know what the symbol to the god is on the shield. You can tell just from its nature that it probably is a symbol to a god, because that's usually where a paladin or some sort of knight would house their shield, house their god's emblem, because it's very prominent on the front. But it looks like a person's face. It looks like a person's face with like a lion's mane around it. Only the mane is like a wreath of flame, like a kind of like a sun, like if the sun had a face in it, but not in the Teletubbies way. He worships the baby from Teletubbies. It's kind of like that, but a lot more cool looking. And then the fourth figure is somewhat hidden at the back with not a lot of features to him, just a featureless face underneath this this mask, this hooded figure, and a body that could be ambiguous in its stature and size and sex and such. So human-ish in size, but no other features recognisable from it. It's a very beautiful statue. It's probably about 9 feet tall, made out of stonework, some sort of marble perhaps. As you get closer to it, you see this plaque on it that says, "The Twice Saviours of Staanhon, the Blue Steel Troop." It's quite clearly an adventuring party. The guy at the front of the statue looks an awful lot like this guy. Just apropos of nothing, I happen to have a mini of him. It's just me and the boys. Yeah. So this is you are now in a part of the city that is now directly coinciding with some of the other stories that are told in my world. The Blue Steel Troop is my very first Dungeons and Dragons campaign that is ongoing to this day, and they have twice saved Staanhon, once from demons and once from orcs. But now that you're in the centre of town, you look around looking for a university or a library or somewhere that you can get your rocks analysed. It doesn't take you long to find the temple to Fifka, the god of learning and language, learning and teaching, essentially. And heading into the school, you can see that there's a whole bunch of students in here as well. It is a weekday, and so you've got a whole bunch of students actually doing their classrooms and such. You step into down one of the corridors and until you can find somebody that's willing to chat with you. These are places of worship as well as actual businesses proper, so it is open to the public to come in and worship. Eventually you find an acolyte, a lecturer of sorts, somebody who's not currently in a class giving a sermon or an education, and you ask them, "Hey, I've got these stones." You explain the whole situation, exposition cantrip. And then they take the stones from you and say, "Yeah, I'd love to find someone to analyze these for you." They lead you through the corridors, up some stairs into a tower. They eventually find an office of somebody who specializes in geology, let's say, and asks them, "Hey, free for a second?" They exposition cantrip, explain the situation to them, and they say, "Yeah, come on in." So a male dwarf, quite an active person. They as they come into the office, you can see that the person like knocks on the door and comes in, and they're already pacing, just kind of like talking to themselves. They've got like a whiteboard or sort of chalkboard, let's say a chalkboard up in their office that they're making marks on and then thinking and working things through. They've got like a model on the desk of different layers of the Earth's like striations, the different crust of the planet, and they're taking parts off and considering things, looking at the whiteboard, the chalkboard, putting it back again. Hey, come on in, what's the matter? Oh, hello there. Looks at you, there's massive Navara walking in. Are you, you're looking for, getting the rocks analysed, huh? Well, I can do that for you, sure. You went through the death planes. Oh, interesting. goes back and forth a little bit just on like the small talk until you, well, let me see them then. You're sure I'm not imposing, eh? No imposition. I'm just going over some things, and it's fine. Let it percolate in the back of the mind. That's always fine for me to have a little bit of a brain break. Sometimes I can spiral down into the depths of my mind, and it's fine. Come on, bring them out. Let me see. Alright, well, I got a few different ones. I've got them labelled here. You bring them out and they're like folded up in individual pieces of paper so that you could remember which parts you got which things from. There was a part where it got really jagged and like crunchy and hard to walk on for a bit. He goes, hey, that's lava for you, and he starts laying them out on the desk one at a time and listening to what you're talking about. You can tell he's got a very active mind. Like, he's not only active in his body, but he's constantly working. You've obviously caught him in the middle of like when he's feeling pumped up and he's got something that he's percolating on. You can pick up from something on his desk, perhaps like next to that model. You can see that there's like notes on his desk of the Underdark, and it seems like he's working on something to do with seeing if there's a pattern between where the openings to the Underdark are in the whether it's particular rock or particular chasms and cracks and natural rock fissures that lead to the Underdark, or whether the Underdark tends to, whether it's sort of another way around, like the Underdark opens in certain areas which causes certain natural rock fissures and formations perhaps. So he's working on something to do with that, it seems. But he's happy for the break. He's also happy to have an interaction with somebody who's not usually seen. Maybe he's never seen an Ernivora before, but as an academic and somebody who's curious about the world, he's got this natural interest in you and where you're from and such. But he will do an analysis of your rocks for you, and this is where I will have to rely on the knowledge, the combined knowledge of the geology of the chat to tell me what I might be getting wrong here. So I don't know a lot about geology myself, so I'm going to roll an intelligence check with advantage for him because of his career. Alright, so he gets with advantage a 10 and a 12. 12 plus his expertise, which would be at least a 3 plus 3, 6. A 6 plus his intelligence would be at least a 3 as well, so that's 9 onto that, which would be a 21. So we're looking at least 21 here. So he does a good job of analysing, like looking at the different rock samples. He picks them up, gives one a little lick, just to appease all those fuckers of you that want to be licking all these fucking rocks. He licks. Oh, there's like a salty texture to this one. I think we're looking at a basalt here, and this one's definitely obsidian. He basically he tells you what you want to know. What is it that... See, the experts lick rocks. We licked the science, yay! You tell me, as players, what is it that you want to know from these rocks, and instead of me just trying to stand here and improvise the makeup of these particular rocks, I will tell you what information you can learn from the rocks. You sure you should be... Well, okay, you know best. To understand the stability of the ground, the likelihood of the tremors, the landslides. Okay, so he can tell you not a lot about that because he would need to do some like surveying in the ground itself. He'd need to like dig down and take rock samples from much further down than just like rock samples that you've picked up off the ground. But he can tell you the composition of the mineral composition of the rocks, that's for sure. Value, rarity, density. He can tell you that sort of stuff, I guess. Can they withstand a lot of foot and cat traffic? He wouldn't be able to tell you that from just taking rock samples. So what he'll tell you then is, it seems like there's most of the rocks that you've picked up do not inherently have magic within them themselves. It is not, once they are removed from the death planes, they are mostly just rock. One of the types of rocks that you found, I'll say, because you took rock samples from numerous different sources, one of them is still warm to the touch. And he says, "Oh, this one seems to be one of the minerals that's found mostly on the in the plains of elemental fire. It's sort of like it would be found on the borderlands between the plains of elemental earth and the plains of elemental fire. It's an area that some call the plains of magma. It's essentially like an ever-heated rock. It's not quite heated to the point of magma, which would mean that this is probably closer to the elemental plane of earth than fire, but it does have a natural heat within it that it just magically gives off. It seems to be drawing on the power of the elemental planes in order to constantly be heating itself. You wouldn't necessarily be able to do anything with this to like cook with or something, but sometimes these can be harvested and sold as like glove warmers for farmers on winter days. They can get some of these that are not so hot as to burn you, but you can pop them in your socks or pop them in your bed. They're a way of replacing the use of like coals for bed warmers or that sort of thing. Sometimes you can use them as fire starters if you get some of that are hotter. There's a whole scale of sliding scale of between the cool ones and the hot ones. Some of the hot ones are always extremely hot, and they can be used to start fires and such, or be used to heat entire houses or buildings. The ones that you've got, if you found something like this, then I imagine you've also got some that are on the scale. So there's that value to them, I suppose. These ones over here. This is obsidian. It can be used, it's a very dangerous substance in that it's like a glass. Some people call it dragon glass. It's incredibly brittle and incredibly sharp. If you chisel it in the right ways, if you get a right toolsmith, you can make all sorts of weapons out of them, and they can be very sharp, or tools, But it is it's a useful item for making weapons, but they can break. They can do a lot of damage for a short amount of time, and then they can break. And there is actually, I do have on my GM screen, I do actually have options for obsidian weapons. If you wanted to make weapons out of obsidian, you can do so. Any slashing weapon can be made out of an obsidian. It adds a d8 damage onto the regular base damage of the weapon, which can be a significant amount. If you make a longsword, which is normally a d8, and you make it out of obsidian, it's now 2d8 for the longsword, but anytime you roll a nat 1, it shatters, and it causes a d6 slashing damage to yourself when it does so. So it's a weapon that if you want to be using an obsidian weapon, you want to only really be attacking with it when you have advantage, because you want to minimise the chances of that nat 1 for sure. Especially hobbits. Hobbits in my world would probably use obsidian weapons a little bit more as well, because they have the lucky feat where they can reroll nat 1s. So they're less likely for it to shatter. The reason for the it causes damage to yourself when it shatters is that I was at university and I was in a geology lesson once, and one of the lecturers talked about when she was out in the field studying obsidian, and she shattered a piece and did not and then later on, like minutes later, found that there was just like it was like wet. She'd brushed up against something wet and it was like dripping off of her. And when she looked down, saw that it was gushing blood out of her arm. Like she had a lot of blood falling out of her arm, and all that she'd felt from the obsidian like shattering was just this like a brush, like a single hair just across her. She didn't think anything of it at all. She didn't realise that any of it had hit her, but it had flown off and hit her with such such thin. We're talking like the sharpest of kitchen knives, or sharper even, and it just cut across her so deeply and she didn't feel an absolute thing. It must have gone between the nerves. It was that thin. Yeah, obsidian is no joke with the sharpness. Yeah, better than a scalpel. Yeah, seriously, like no exaggeration. It can be like when you get an obsidian edge to something, it's literally sharper than scalpels. So she told this story in this class about like it's not to be underestimated, it's obsidian, and so I was like, cool. So I'm gonna include obsidian weapons in my game, but then have it so that if it shatters, you take damage yourself as well. So he explains this about obsidian to you. He says that you don't want to be riding over obsidian, but you explain where you picked up the obsidian. Yeah, it was off to the side. It was like a rocky outcropping. Blah blah blah. You say, oh, these are the ones from the ground that I was walking on. Would it be stable enough to trundle carts over. He says I'd have to do some surveying to make sure that that was the case. Like you'd have to drill down into the ground to see what stability there was in terms of like earthquakes and things. Did you experience any earthquakes while you were there? Any tremors? You say, oh no way, but I was only travelling through at night for like 3-4 hours or something. And he goes, yeah. Even so, if you were heading through an area of the plains of Earth, you'd most likely be experiencing earthquakes during that time. The ground is rumbling and trembling all the time. If you didn't experience earthquakes while you were travelling through in the 4 hours or whatever you were there, I'd say it's slightly less likely that you're going to experience landslides and earthquakes as a major problem. It's going to be more like your firestorms and your ash and those sorts of things, right? You say, yeah, that's kind of the stuff that I was dealing with as well. He says the earthquake's probably not a problem, landslide's probably not a problem, but this rock seems like it would have been chipped off of something rather sturdy. It is volcanic rock. The entire Death Plains were created by the lava flow when Mount Walkerak first erupted, way back in the day, thousands of years ago, about 3,000 years ago. Well, 4,000 now. The volcano had a huge pyroclastic flow that went down from Lake Walkerak all the way to the ocean in the South Frintek, and since then the land has been volcanic. Normally, in volcanic rock, it comes with all sorts of nutrients that brings fertilizer with it, but with the influence from the fire plains, it prevented the growth of any plants as well. And so it's just kind of barren rock now. So it usually is pretty sturdy, but it can also be quite brittle. So did you notice any like landslides, any chasms? And you said, oh, there was one chasm that had been created from some sort of landslide. I had to jump over it. It was only like 6 foot wide. It was those sorts of things would need to be shored up, I suppose, but I'm afraid that's all I can tell you from your rocks. Is that what you're after? You say, yeah, that was very helpful indeed. Thank you. Do I like pay you for your time? And he goes, no. I'm paid by the temple of Fifka, and besides, Fifka's about teaching and learning. I'm literally worshipping Fifka by explaining these things to you. So I'm more than happy to do so. Oh, thank you very much. Is there any chance that you could in case I forget this stuff, could you write it down so I could include it in my report for the king? You say, for the king? You say, oh, did I not mention the person who commissioned me for the whole map in the first place was directly from the king? King, absolutely. Would you mind including my name? Just to say that you don't need to say that I was part of the report or anything, but I'd love to know that the king has directly heard my work. Yeah, no problem. Just write down the fact for me. And he grabs a piece of paper and a ink pot and dap. He just writes down a little summary of the things that he's learned from the minerals. Hands it over to you with his name, and you say you thank him for his time and you leave him to his job. And he goes, no problem. And then he grabs his model again and gets up from his desk and starts pacing again. Right. So the canyons. Canyons are the deepest parts, obviously, so is it the deepest parts that creates the Underdark, or is it the Underdark that creates the deepest parts? And he goes back to his work as you close the door and allow yourself to leave the university. What's his name? Rockefeller? Rockefeller. I mean, I'm kind of keen to call him Rockefeller. What would a good dwarven first name be? Dwarves are often inspired by German names in my world, but not always. There is a dwarf family here in Staanhon that is named more inspired by Maori names. Carver. Carver's pretty fun. Carver Rockefeller. Heinrich with the rock. Heinrich. Kind of like Heinrich. Just for Heinrich Rockefeller. I don't think we go Rock and Rockefeller though, but I'm gonna call it Heinrich with an O instead of a second I. Heinrockefeller. Steinberg's pretty good, I like that. And that does fit in with my usual naming system for the dwarves. Heinrich Steinberg. So you've got your answers for your rock samples. He asked if he could keep a couple of them, like a couple of the smaller pieces, just for because he likes to have a collection of things, and he hasn't had an opportunity to take an expedition into the Death Plains for a while. He has been through the Death Plains, but many years ago now. So you you give him a couple of the rocks to keep, but you take the rest of them to go to a jeweler's and be like, hey, you want to turn this into like Death Plains jewellery, perhaps? Can we make a sketch of the statue, pretty please? You sure can, yeah. On your way back out of the university then, you head back through the main square. You are artistically inspired by this beautiful statue to these adventurers. You can tell by looking at it as well, I will say, that although you don't have the dwarven stonework or stone cunning of a dwarf where you can just like look at a piece of stonework and know how old it is, it doesn't take much to know, it's a low DC I suppose, to learn that this is a very new statue. You can tell that it's very clean, very looked after. It's very well made. There's no weathering around the edges of it. All of the edges are very sharp and very very prominent, very very clear. You can tell that it's probably only a matter of months old. But you take a sketch of the statue, so that if anybody wants to do a fan art of this, you absolutely can. I will probably, after this session in the Discord, I'll post pictures of what those characters actually look like in my home game, so that if you want to make if anybody is inspired to make artwork of what the actual statue looks like, that'd be great. But that is up to you. You, as Noodle, you can take a quick sketch of it just out of interest, and then where are you heading? Do you want to head to the mayor's place to claim your extra money, at the risk that it might take a little bit longer than you might expect, or do you want to just go back to the guild, spend some time, wait for your meeting, and then after the meeting with the guild you can go and chat to the mayor and get your money after that, and then go shopping? Add the rock information to your notes. Yeah, good idea, Wraith. So you head back to the guild. You know through the town. There's nothing stops you. Nothing gets in your way. Again, lots of people interested in what you are and where you're going. There's a couple of people. Maybe one bolder child wants to ask what you are. The mum kind of tugs on the hand and says it's not polite to ask that sort of thing. Eventually you get back to your brush and quill guild. You let yourself in again. Speak to the receptionist, whose name was Carly, I think, from memory. Receptionist Gracie, that was her name. Gracie Cinder Veronica Bimblebock. You see your receptionist lady. You ask if there's a place where you can go to if there's one of the tables open still, and the tables are still open. You can go right ahead in there if you want. You ask, you show your insignia again, and she lets you in. You go and sit at the table, wait for noon to roll around as you copy down the notes that you've just gotten from Heinroch. You copy them into your report for the king. And before you know it, the brush and quill head, Birth Frances Fiohan, she is ready to chat with you. She brings you into her office. Relatively simple office, very small, kind of cubicle sort of a situation, but she's decorated it beautifully with all these different signs and things. She's one of these people that's, if there's like a square centimetre of space on her wall, then she needs to put something there. And so you walk into the office and there's just like signs and beautiful there's long tapestry like scrolls, kind of like you see in Eastern cultures, with the writing written downwards rather than acrosswards. And then there's right next to those there's these like beautiful long signs that's like from the top of a shop sign. She's got small ones that are kind of like fridge magnet size things that you see stuck up on people's walls, or like postcards from various different places with beautiful writing on them. Some of the postcards she's got obviously like actually just turned around so that because she's more interested in what was written on the back than actually the picture on the front of them. She's got all sorts of writing all over the walls here. So you head in. She offers you a seat. So, I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. I know you arrived back in town yesterday, but it's a pleasure to meet you. Niwha, isn't it? Niwha. Oh, Niwha. Sorry, I've not come across the Urnivoran language before. No, that's okay. It's a pleasure to meet you. The king has told me to expect your arrival. Well, not directly, but I was told to expect your arrival, and I'm very pleased to see that you made it through the death plains in one piece. So, tell me about it. Tell me about your journey. Can I get you a drink or anything for a start? Glass of water. We've got some iced water out the back. Actually, we managed to get some ice in this morning. Just a glass of water would be great, thanks. Unless you want anything particular. If you guys want anything more substantial than water, you could ask and see if she's got it in. Otherwise, she'll just get you she'll get the two of you a tray of water. Stoltz has a postcard from the Death Plains Tourism Board. Yeah, it says not quite as bad as they say. Just water's good. So she gets the little tray of water and starts to pour the water. Tell me about your journey. Tell me about your trip. So you start to tell her about the trip. I will before we actually start anything, I will get you to roll just a charisma check, just to see how well you are doing just this social interaction, essentially. Just to sort of, I like to roll my charisma checks at the start of the thing, because then you can roleplay how it goes based on the roll, rather than the other way around. You don't want to be doing a long roleplay of like acting out this amazing scene and then roll a 3 on your charisma and like, oh yeah, that's right, I'm not a very charismatic character. So let's head to the dice cam, roll you a general charisma check. 4, for instance. So 4 plus 1 from your charisma, so it's a 5. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's definitely below average. Maybe it's because you're exhausted from the time spent over in the Death Plains. Maybe it's because you're not used to her sort of, maybe your personalities are clashing for some reason. You can lucky it if you want. You do have 4 rerolls today with your lucky clovers. It resets at dawn. We overplay finding obsidian. It's just it's not the greatest interaction. It's like, it's not a nat 1. You're not going to be insulting her mother or something. Like, you're not going to put your foot in it too badly. It's just like, it's awkward. Maybe your social battery's a little bit drained from this morning's interaction with Heinrich. Maybe your mind's on other things. Maybe you're nervous about if this meeting's going to take too long and you're going to miss out on getting to the mayor. Whatever it is that's on your mind, you're just quieter than normal, perhaps. Yeah. What do you tell Birith about your journey? Do you let her in on everything? Do you keep any of it to yourself? The 5 charisma check could just represent the fact that your story is just kind of all over the place. Maybe you're starting with the wrong information and then having to jump back to give context for things that you didn't, and maybe you're just kind of all over the place that way. Maybe that's what it's representing. Tell her everything. Don't see any reason to keep anything to ourselves. Tell everything. Just give general info. We suddenly remember we restocked the fire resistance potions. We keep getting preoccupied with that. Yeah. Now we're preoccupied that the king's aide did tell us, you're welcome to use these potions, but anything you don't use, like don't go using it willy-nilly, and anything you don't use, we do want it back, because it is, these are expensive to make. And so now you're like, maybe there's a part of your brain that's like, maybe we shouldn't have used when you get to that part of the story, you're telling about, we used the fire resistance potion, but we didn't end up having to fight the fire elemental. Oh, maybe we shouldn't have used the fire resistance potion. Maybe that's tripping you up a bit. So you tell her everything. You tell her like the details of how your journey went. Tell her way too many details. It's irritating. Yeah, some elements of the story are just way too detailed, and you can tell that she's getting a little bit bored. She's like, yeah, and then what? She's kind of prompting the next part, and so you rush through the next part, and she have to ask you to go back a little bit. And what, a chasm, you say? She's not got the academic interest that you saw from Heinrich. But she does have an interest in the map making specifically. As you're talking to her, you're going through the report, you're explaining everything that you got. She's also critiquing your work a little bit as well, which maybe is leading to that social anxiety as well, because you kind of weren't expecting this to be a job review, and it's sort of turning into it. She's not doing you did a great job with your work, with your random, with your 20-minute cartography checks. You were rolling very well, and so she's not got a lot of bad things to say, but she is the head of the guild, and she is what is considered a master of her craft, and you're still an apprentice level, so she does have things that she can be telling you about like tips for how to be better at keeping your notes organized as you go, so that you don't have to spend quite as long organizing them afterwards, perhaps. I'm like bristling that she's critical of our work. We did stellar work, thank you. You did a 20 plus average, but when she's doing work, because she's a master at it, she'd probably be getting a 24 average. So she's you've always got things you can be learning. and she's teaching you a little bit about that as you go. Eventually, gets to the end of like an hour or so of talking with her, and you've given your report of what you learned on the journey. And she says, right, well, you've done a very thorough job. Overall, I'm incredibly impressed. You've obviously, I suppose I shouldn't be surprised, given that you were recommended from overseas, and even it was even considered worth bringing you in from another continent entirely. At another time, I'd love to hear about a little bit more about your homeland and what the cartography guilds there are like, because I've never had a chance to get out there myself. But another time, eh? We've been talking long enough anyway, and I've got to chat with another fella today. I've got to get to that at some point. The king, in the message I got from the king's from the royal palace, you were to map something else as well. Like you've got another commission on. Is that correct? Are you sticking around here long before you get onto that, or are you going straight onto it? Like, what's your plan from here? You are essentially a freelance cartographer at this point, working on a contract directly for the king. So it's really down to you, the pacing of your job. As the king said, like, you're getting a set amount to do the job. So however long it takes you to do it is up to you. But the longer it takes, the less per day you're making. I forgot to describe the exact coloration of the crumple, crap apples shell. So, I'm thinking of heading out tomorrow. Use the rest of the day to get resupplied, get the things that I need, and then head straight out. To be honest. And where was it again? We've got to head up as soon as possible. Really, just got to get this job done. Do you have a map of the area? And she goes, oh, I'd be weird cartography guild if I didn't, wouldn't it? And she opens up a drawer and brings out a map. It's clearly one that has been hand copied. One of the services that the Torigma acolytes, the ones at the reading and writing place of worship, Torigma acolytes will do transcriptions for people. There's a lot of people in this world that are illiterate or not skilled with pen and paper, and so they will do copying across sometimes. People at the Brush and Quill will also do that service for people as well. It's just that they cost money, whereas you can go to the acolytes for free usually. So she brings out a map, and it's been hand copied. It's not perfect, but it's good enough for the purposes. Because here's a map of the area of where you're going to be heading. Obviously, the whole point of you going is to remap this part here. It's kind of a little bit. It's a little bit less obvious how well it's mapped. My apologies to the people listening on audio only, but there is currently a map on the screen of the area you are in. If you want, just a little shameless plug, if you want this map, you can find it now on my merch store. It's the island that you're on, and you'll see that you arrived in Portsend, you went through Peloton, down to Wendraven, up through Holdover, around the Death Plains to Staanhon, and your job is to head north from here. The map that she hands to you, though, the map that she brings out right now, she says, this is where we are currently. This is Staanhon right here. We can see that we're nestled in the northern tips of Lake Welkarak, in the western edges of the Drensal, the Drenwheel Ranges. You're going to be heading north. You say, yeah, I've been told to head north to Whitfield, so whereabouts is that? And she goes, so there's a well-mapped path here. All of this area here, she's pointing out on the map, all of this area here is well mapped, well documented. We know that it's pretty well secure as well. We send Knights of Kavosna back and forth to Whitfield and Laketown quite regularly, so there's rarely dangers on the path here. Then from Whitfield, you want to be heading. Normally, most folk, the vast majority, if not everyone, that heads through Whitfield. Whitfield's a little hobbit town. Very, very beautiful people, wonderfully hospitable. Like they'll take you in. If you're a brand new stranger, they'll take you in and feed you a 3-course meal and put you up in their own home. They're that sort of people. They're like incredibly hospitable people. They grow probably the vast amount of the food that we eat here in Staanhon, Laketown, even Fenshore, which is way over on the western coast. Lots of farms there. You name it, they're growing it or raising it in some way or another. Most people, after they head through Whitfield, if they even want to leave, they head west and then head up through Laketown. Laketown's beautiful little town, tiny little place, but very nice, very diverse kind of people that live there. Then you head north from there and head round to Finshaw. But what isn't well documented is just north of there we've got, unfortunately for you obviously, there's the Death Plains, the lesser Death Plains, to go with the greater Death Plains down here obviously, where you've already traversed. There's now the lesser Death Plains, which are another smaller area. These ones erupted from a volcano up here called Lake Walcarek, not Walcarac. This is Walcarac, that's Walcarek. Walcarek erupted around the same time as Walcarac. The lava flow, the pyroclastic flow, it moved down to form the lesser Death Plains, and it's not well documented. So anything north of Whitfield, they don't really grow anything there. They don't really ranch anything. There's just like a vast area here where it's undocumented. The lesser Death Plains, not very well documented. And anything above that, there's a small section of forest called the East Renlac. The king, I'm sure, would love to know what's in there, so that's probably the areas that he's wanting you to document. So I guess somewhere around here. Does that make sense? Does that coincide with what you've been told to document, to map? Why isn't there a lake in Laketown? There is, yes. You just can't really see it on this map because it's this isn't a map to the scale where you'd see the lake, but all the way down the side of Laketown, all this part here of this river is actually like a large lake, really long lake. We were supposed to be checking for mountain passes where the orcs could be entering as well. Oh, okay. Oh, right. Yeah, I suppose that is important to know, isn't it? Has there been orc sightings up north? I don't know of any. I just that's what I've been told. Like just to keep an eye out for orc passings. Right. I mean that makes sense. The orcs. The only place the orcs live on Drenwheel now is in the Drenwheel Ranges, and they disappear for a couple of years. They populate. They grow more in numbers, and then they come down for another attack, another onslaught, and then they disappear for another couple of years, and then they come down again, and it's a repeating cycle. But normally, wherever they come down is always just through Staanhon. The only passes through the mountains that are actually useful and easy for them to traverse is the pass up from here to Staanhon, a tiny little mining town just up in the mountains. So they normally attack through there. So I guess the king's just keeping an eye out for whether the orcs are trying their luck elsewhere, seeing if there's other ways down. The mountains are not well documented, and there's definitely the possibility that they could find other paths where they could come down. But I mean, it's winter; they wouldn't be moving around anyway. Well, I suppose it's spring now, but it's very difficult to traverse the mountains of the Drenwheel Ranges, even in summer. Like they're very dangerous, very treacherous, very natural and raw, and very craggy. It's very dangerous to move around in the Drenwheel Ranges. It's damn near impossible to do so in winter. It'd be a death sentence to head up there, I'd imagine. So I don't imagine you'll see anything moving about, but I guess you can keep your eye out for it if that's what you've been asked to do. Does no one ever have peaceful relations with the orc tribes at all around here? Oh, not around here, no. Time long ago, it was said that perhaps the orcs used to be different, or that we used to be different to them. That perhaps maybe we once all got along, but it's all mythology. No one around here will take well to the orcs. North of Whitfield had a lot of space before the lesser Death Plains, and the tip of the lesser Death Plains is even smaller than the tip of the greater Death Plains. I think we might be okay, but a potion if we wanted to. Yeah. It's called lesser Death Plains because of its size, not its severity. You can get through them quicker than you could with the greater Death Plains, but it's still as dangerous. Is there a local mining guild or something around here that might have information on where it would be likely for the orcs to pass through the mountains? Oh, there's miners. Yeah, there's the three largest mining companies in all of the kingdom are in right here in Staanhon. Most of the metals and gravel that is mined for the kingdom of Serentiel comes from Staanhon. So there's plenty of miners you can talk to. I'm not sure how much they'd know about the rest of the mountain range though, because they get pretty much all they need from Staanhon. Alright, so most people saying, let's go to the mayor, get some more, get the rest of our money, so that then we can go to the alchemist's shops and get some more potions, and then we can head to the miners for any more information before we leave, I guess. How many days travel to get up to the East Drenlach? Well, let's head back over to the map to show you. There is a scale on this map of, where is it? I've put it somewhere down the bottom there, 100, up to 100 kilometers there. 25 kilometers from here, that would be 1, 2. It's about 40 kilometers to Woodfield. From Woodfield would be about another 20 kilometers north to the Lesser Death Plains, and then you're probably looking at about 10 to 12 kilometers across the Death Plains as the crow flies. So as the crow flies from where you are, so 1, 2, 3, it's about 75 kilometers north to East Drenlach. Are we good at deception? Well, on your character sheet there you can see there is, you have a +1 in charisma, and you do not have proficiency in perception under your proficiencies, so no, not particularly good at deception. You've got a +1, so 5% better than the average person. Do we need to map the Lesser Death Plains? You weren't tasked with mapping the Lesser Death Plains. It was more the King's contract for you. You were given the contract, so I'll just tell you that I think you were given a copy of the contract anyway. I'll tell you the King basically gave you the contract of, we don't really know much about north of Woodfield. We've mapped out Staanhon to Woodfield, Woodfield to Laketown easily. Anything north of Woodfield towards the Lesser Death Plains, it's just kind of like somewhat uncharted. We don't know too much about it. We don't know if there's dangers in the area and etc. We don't exactly know where the Lesser Death Plains begin. We don't know. We certainly haven't gone through the Lesser Death Plains and gotten to the East Drenlach. Maybe we want to be logging up there. Maybe we want to make diplomatic relations with anything that lives in the East Drenlach. We don't really know much. So just kind of, it was a more open-ended contract of get to Woodfield, start heading north and start mapping, see what you find out, make a report of it, report back. The King was leaving it open-ended in the same way that you found firsthand in the East Drenlach, the East Drensal, the swamp. You got there and went, this is a big task, this is more than just one person, and the King was kind of leaving this one open-ended for the same reason of like, you'll get there, I don't know what you'll find out. It could be that you map the entire thing and just report back and be like, there's nothing there, or you could report back and be like, this is, I got 2 kilometers in there and I almost died 3 times. We definitely need more people to task this. And so he was just like, get there and start mapping it and let me know. So what's the plan? You're going to go to the mayor now to get the money, right? You're going to go pick up the rest of your money from the mayor? Sounds like we probably won't have to go through the LDP. Probably not. But if you get there and there's nothing else to map, then maybe you want to go into the Lesser Death Plains, and maybe then you want some fire potions. Alright, most people saying yes, let's go to the mayor. So you thank the Cartographer Guild leader Berith, and you say, well, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for listening to the report and giving me the tips. I appreciate that. I'm going to head to the mayor's house now because I've got to pick up the rest of my pay for the job. Where do I give this report? Do you guys want to head to the rookeries yourself and like give it to the rookery and say, hey, can you deliver this to the king? Or do you want to just leave this with the Cartography Guild and say, can you handle sending this to the king? What's the deal? Because you've got a copy of the report, you've got your own copy that you can keep, but you do have a finished copy with a file and everything that is ready to be delivered to the king, and that will complete your contract, and you will then be able to gain the rest of the money. Leave it to the guild. We are quite humble. Leave it for the guild. Leave it to the guild. All right. Say, so I can leave this with you, and you'll get it to the king? She says, yeah, absolutely. I will I mean, I was going to say I would do a once over, but I don't even need to. You've just gone through it very thoroughly, and you've done an incredible job. I'm very impressed, Niwha, and I'm glad to have you around. I hope that whatever your next job gets for you, brings for you, then I hope that it goes well. I certainly wouldn't mind having you around if you want to stick around Staanhon after your task's done. You'd be more than welcome to join our guild. It wouldn't take much in the way of paperwork to sign you up as an official member of the Staanhon Brush and Quill, so consider that. It'd be great to have someone of your skill and talent. But I will take this report. I will send it off to the king before the end of the day. Thank you very much. You finish off your iced water and you head out of the door. You start making your way down towards the high quarter that you know. You leave the guild. You leave back out into the streets of the town, and you roll your advantage on perception check. That is a 6 and a 9. So we'll take the 9 with the advantage, plus your perception of 3 from your wisdom, gives you a 12. So as you walk through the town, if anybody is trying to sneak up on you, they'll need more than a 12 in order to successfully sneak up on you. You go from the east side of the central district, and you head south along the interior walls of the town in order to get to High Quarter. High Quarter is where the mayor lives. You ask for directions along the way. Eventually, you're told where to go. One of the guards on the duty to the inner walls. The inner walls aren't closed off during the day, but there is a guard on duty that will explain to you that the mayor has an office where she works for her office business, and it is on the same premise as her residence. But you're not wanting to look for the mayor's house. You're looking for the mayor's office, which is on the same estate. Explains that to you, and you head off towards to find her. You are also told that her name is see if I can even remember from memory, because it's she's an NPC that I created a long time ago. Mayor Kaylee Victoria Shansbeard, I think. Yes, there she is. Mayor Kaylee Victoria Shansbeard. Let me grab that for the people taking notes. Kaylee Victoria Shansbeard is a middle-aged dwarf woman, currently mayor of Staanhon. 4'2", quite a slim build. She has dark brown wavy hair and smooth brown skin. Wears simple fabric and lots of gold, and speaks with a high-pitched, prim hint of dwarvish accent voice. Mrs. Doubtfire, I've got in my notes. She's like a Mrs. Doubtfire voice. A high-pitched, prim voice. So you make your way through town. You get to the mayor's office. You sit in the reception hall and explain who you are and why you're there to see her. Thankfully, she's you've caught her at a good time between jobs, essentially. So she says, "Oh yeah, absolutely, but send her in now." You get sent in to meet this woman standing up. She's standing up to greet you, as it's the polite thing to do. She's wearing lots of gold with the large gold merle, one of those huge chains that looks like it's really heavy and weighty. The sort of thing that a mayor of a town hall will wear when they're doing a ribbon cutting or ceremony or something. It seems like she just wears it at all times. It's not just a ceremonial thing for her. She also, as she reaches out to shake your hand, she's got these huge golden rings on, and you can see she's got big golden earrings on as well. She seems like she's very she enjoys the wealthy kind of look and the enjoyment of the gold appearance to her jewellery. Well, it's lovely to meet you. You tell her everything, I imagine, like explain why you're there for, and you've sent off a report to the king now. Blah blah blah. Here's the situation. She's very interested in the death planes because obviously, as mayor of Staanhon, a lot of her possible income for the city, a lot of her exports and imports relies on getting that path through the death planes actually set up again. She's invested quite a lot of money into the infrastructure of trying to get the path up and over the mountains, the one that doesn't go through the death plains. She's trying to get that shored up and try to get it widened at certain areas, and tries to get it so that the carts can come and go through that area. But it's taking a lot of work. They are working on it, building the path, but it's taking a long time, especially digging into volcanic rock. So she's got heavy investment in trying to understand when can we get that merchant path open again, and how can we make it safer. So she is very much interested in hearing you out about exactly what you'd experienced in your journey through the Deathplanes. I'm going to roll you just a straight charisma check, just again to see how well this conversation goes in general. That is a 16. A 16 on the dice there. 16 plus 1 is 17, so much better now. Maybe you're warming up to the day of interactions. Maybe you had a little time on your journey to the mayor's office to prepare yourself. But you exposition done. You're sticking to your story a little bit more now. You've had practice. You've rehearsed it once already today. I'm ready to stop talking about fire potions one way or another. Once you've got the money from the mayor, you can absolutely buy some fire potions if that's what we want. There are alchemists in town that would be able to sell you fire potions for sure. Alright, so you're at the mayor, you explain what happens, she's very interested, she offers you a drink as well while you're in her office. She gives you like a cup of tea or something, puts some honey in it for you. And then, sure enough, true to what is in the contract, she gets the contract from you to double check it, reads it over very carefully, and then hands you out a bag of well, she's going to hand you a bag of gold, but she asks you how you'd like to be paid. You can have the gold just as 30 gold pieces in a pouch, or she can give you just 3 platinum pieces. Platinum pieces are easy to hide or to keep on your person without getting robbed, so you could tuck one down a boot. But if you do lose it, you're losing an entire 10 gold from a single platinum. Each platinum is 10 gold pieces. So if you feel uneasy carrying 30 jingling gold pieces around with you, she's happy to pay you in 3 platinum. Seems like most people are saying yes, take the less jingly option, less likely to get robbed. Alright, the downside obviously is that if you run out of gold and you need to pay for something, like if you need to pay for like 6 silver pieces and you try and pay with a platinum, that's like you're less likely to find somebody who can split that. But I don't suppose that's going to become a problem in the rest of this mini-series. Alright, so she gives you 3 platinum pieces. Let's head over here and add 3 platinum into your inventory. Well done, you now have 3 platinum, 36 gold. You could, with the mayor, you've definitely got good rapport with her with that 17 charisma check from the conversation. You've got good rapport with her. If you wanted to ask her to transfer some of your gold into platinum, so you're even less jingly, you could do that. Meanwhile, I saw somebody says, does she know how much a heat potion would be? That is a good question. Let's find out. Let me check my price table. She says, potion of fire resistance. I think you can get them usually. Let's just see how much she knows actually. She might give you false information if she doesn't know it. She goes, I think you can usually get them for like 40 gold maybe? I could be. I've not had to buy one for... sorry, Miss Doubtfire, she's much higher than I was giving her. Maybe like 40 gold or something, or it could be more. I've not had to buy one for a while. Maybe it's like 100 gold. I don't know. I'm afraid you'd have to ask. So there's a lot of alchemists in the West District, in the Walkerak District. If like up the Walkerak side of the mountains, if you head there, then it's maybe somewhere around that vicinity. It takes a lot of ingredients. So I know that prices are. They're usually made. The prices are whatever somebody's willing to pay for it. I think so. It's really whatever the person can make a living doing. Keeping in mind that is potentially unreliable narrator, because you don't know what I just rolled for her intelligence check. She might not know. She might be a mare that's kind of out of touch with how much things actually cost. It's 1 gold. It's 1 banana, Michael. How much can it cost? $10? You have your money checked off from the mayor. We can now tick off the quest log. Claim the rest of your money. Well done. The quest log becomes map the area north of Whitfield and discover the orcs can find a way down from the ranges, and maybe get a heat potion if you want it. All right, so enough people are in 2 minds about it that we should put a bit of a poll. So if you are following the channel, you have access to a thumbs up and thumbs down, yes and no emote, nice and visually accurate. So let's say thumbs up for yes if you do want to go and check the Alchemist District and see what the prices of a fire resistance potion are. Put a thumbs down if you're not interested in buying any potions or anything with your new money. Is there some place we can keep our money safe at the guild, for instance? Potentially you could hide it at the guild somewhere if you wanted to, but if you wanted to actually keep it safe, there are banks in this world. Banks are a place of worship. They're a type of temple. You'd find them in the temple district. They are a place of worship to the god of possessions and envy and ownership and money, currency. It's a god called Listalak. And it is Listalak's symbol that is printed on every coin. It's like a perfect circle with an arrowhead in it, or like a slightly skew L. Alright, not a unanimous decision, but definitely majority decision to head to the alchemy district to at least check out other potions and see what prices they've got and such. Does Noodle have a bank account? No, Noodle does not. Is that where our stashed gold is? No. Listalak would not have, probably would not have banks in the country that you're from. Maybe, I don't know. I haven't fully fleshed out the world building of that area. Anyway, this is a mini series. We've got the rest of this table session and then one more table session, and we're done with this story and this character for now. So we're not going to waste time on worrying about banks and things. You don't need to be worrying about that level of minutiae and detail to your life. If you want to stash the money somewhere safe, I can hand wave it and say that you stash some money somewhere safe. In the meantime, you leave the mayor's house. It's getting slightly later into the afternoon now. With it being early spring, you've got like maybe a couple hours left of the light. So you head back up into the western district and you look for some alchemists. I will tell you who you find, because it's very amusing to me that you are looking for an alchemist in Staanhon, just like you were looking for a cobbler in Holdover. As you're looking around the west district of Staanhon, you notice that it is kind of like the marketplaces. It's a lot of the farming stalls set up here. Lots of the miners will sell their goods here. It's not the area where the mining is done. It's not the area where the smelting happens and such. That's the northern quarter. But a lot of the miners will bring samples here to try and sell to other people. They'll also bring jewellery here. Any jewellers will sell their stuff here. It's very much like street vibes, the whole place. People do live in Western District as well. There's definitely residences here, but they're a little bit further back from, like up the mountainside. You head through the streets. You're walking through the streets. If there's anything in particular that you're wanting to buy, you can do so. Pretty much anything from the adventurers items table in the book you could get. So pretty much any of this stuff you could have access to. There's also some magic items on display as well, and there's alchemy around as well. You see, you're attracted to one particular woman's table. She's a young human-looking woman. She's got bright red hair, like not just orange, not just ginger, but like actually like vibrant red, like anime red hair. That's like quite thick and bushy and held back into a pony. She's very tall, very athletic looking, and she's got this alchemy jug sitting off to the side of her table. She's got like spice racks with various different like potions in them. She's also brewing out of her alchemy jug. She'll periodically conjure coffee out of it and pour it just for people to take at their leisure, just kind of like free samples, like take some of the coffee. You're drawn over to her just because she's got a very charismatic kind of vibe to her. She's very friendly. As you walk over, she's laughing and joking with a kid about like a little toy that they're playing with. The kid was running like a little wooden horse and cart over the front of her desk, and the mum was like, "That's somebody's stall. Don't do that." And she's like, "No, don't worry about that. I've got one here." And she brings out like a little carving of a man with a big sword. And she goes, "Oh, watch out! There's a man you are not allowed to come through here. Oh, you better watch out, or the blue steel troop will get you. Oh no, the blue steel troop!" And she's sort of laughing, and then the kid kind of walks off just as you're arriving. "Oh, hello. Can I interest you in some coffee?" She hands out like a small espresso sort of glass towards her. can I interest you in a coffee? What do you reckon? Does Noodle drink coffee? Is it the first time you've had coffee? Is this Lagan's mum? Not too far off. She's much too young to be Lagan's mum, though. Do we recognise her from a statue we recently saw, maybe? Well, let's find out. Let's see, what's this going to be? Investigation check. Dice cam investigation. I'm going to use your Noodle wooden dice. Nat 20! Look at that, Nat 20 investigation. What a perfect time for it. With a Nat 20 on your investigation check, as you approach her, she doesn't look anything like the statue you recently saw at all. But two things you notice. The little statuette that she's holding of the guy with the sword, that does look like a little wood carving of the guy from the statue. She's definitely got a tiny little statuette of the guy from the statue. And the second thing you notice is that there's something about her eyes and something about her stature. She's a little bit shorter than a human of her age probably should be. She's quite young. She's probably like late teens, early 20s. You can tell that she is not entirely human, that she has some shorter stature in her bloodline as well, not dwarf from her lack of stocky build. She's quite a lithe person. So you imagine that she's maybe got some gnome in her, perhaps. And then the eyes, as you get closer, her eyes look very much like the eyes of the cobbler that you got the shoes from. If you were to guess, you'd say this is probably that cobbler's daughter. And that's why I say it's very interesting that you happened to want to go and find an alchemist in Staanhon after you already wanted to go and find a cobbler in Holdover, because no word of a lie, I didn't set that shit up. Riza Littner is a character that has existed since the very first days of my campaign. Riza is an alchemist that lives in Staanhon canonically in the Western District, and her father, Hohenheim Littner, is a cobbler, tinkerer, alchemist, all sorts of things in Holdover, and you just happened to meet both of them. Pass on the coffee in case it's laced and we get jumped. Yeah, that's fair enough. No thanks to the coffee, but you look strangely familiar to someone I met recently. You're not from Holdover, are you? She goes, yeah, I am. You go, long shot perhaps, but I got some, I've just come through the Death Plains, and I bought some shoes so that I would, you lift up your feet to show that you've got bare feet, literally bare feet. I don't wear shoes normally, but I didn't want to run through the Death Plains with no shoes, so I went to a cobbler in Holdover, and she smiles and goes, Hohenheim Littner? And you say, yeah, you look awfully, and she goes, that's my daddy. You say, what a small world. Her name is Riza, I'll tell you. Riza, R-I-Z-A. Wow, that's what a coincidence. And even better coincidence, I'm looking for... We're not a dwarf, sorry, I'm using my dwarven accent. I defaulted to Apis's voice. You're not... I went to... New Zealand. I went to a cobbler to get some shoes. And yeah, really lovely guy, eh? I've lost my New Zealand accent somehow. New Zealand. Oh yeah. Oh, sort of. Oh, go all the way and then bring it back, eh? Yeah, I went to a cobbler to get some shoes, and I was just he looks an awful lot like you. Was that Hohenheim? Yeah, that's my daddy. Suddenly we're Scottish. Yeah, lots of accents. Even better coincidence, I'm actually looking for potions. You seem to sell potions. I do. Yeah, I've been working on a lot of different potions. What sort of thing are you looking for? See, well, I'm interested in browsing what you've got. It's fucking Scottish again. Oh yeah. I'm interested in browsing what you've got, but if you've got any fire resistance potions, I'd be particularly interested in that. She goes, well, let's see. And she's going to roll to see if she has any fire resistance potions on her. Okay, interesting. I guess not much of a suspense, but that's where I'm going to leave it for today, and we'll pick up with this in the next episode. Thank you for watching, everybody. I'll see you in the next Twitch Tales.
Hey there. Thanks for watching this video. It really means a lot to me. And if you want to support me in ways that doesn't cost you anything, you can tell your friends, or colleagues, or family, or Reddit threads, or just post the video somewhere. Thanks.